Well, thank you all for showing up, even though it was like truly last minute announcement. So tonight's going to be somewhat of a trying to revive an old tradition. Because sometimes when I mention this event to other people, I say it's a meditation group. But we meditate, but it's not really, we don't really focus on meditation. So I'm trying to revive the, and we used to meet just for meditation quite a while ago, pre-COVID, believe it or not. Yeah. So I'm think a few people have asked me to do that again, where we are just focusing on meditation. So I thought, well, let's try it to see if people would how many other people actually want that. Where we spend an hour conservatively just meditating, and I speak less than when I do normally during these home sessions. And if anyone has a topic that you would like us to talk about on these Thursday night meetings, please send us a note. Be more than happy to present it. Okay. So I sort of took over. Nizam, please.
No, it's great. There's not much for me to say at the beginning of today, but I'll just remind everyone that these sessions are donation-based, and I'll put the different ways of that we can donate in the chat. Phuntsok never explicitly says this, but I believe the Patreon is the best way if that is in your means, a regular donation. Otherwise, do a one-time donation through Venmo if you can. And of course, if you can't, you're always welcome here, regardless of your financial situation. And yeah, I want to be better about putting up the YouTubes on time, but every session is on YouTube. So if you miss a session, you can always go back and watch it as well. And I have to put up the last two just to let you know, but they're on Phuntsok's YouTube channel, and I'll put that in the message chat as well.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Thank you. So this is not a haircut, it's a hairdo. And it's a hairdo when you're lazy and you just done. Me being lazy, that is. Okay. All right. Let's see. This the history of Friday. I'm going to refer to this as the Friday night because that's usually the day the meditation sessions used to be held. And they used to be held at a place called Three Jewels. It started with one night I was asked to cover a meditation class that was sort of like being introduced to New York at the time. There weren't that many meditation classes. As a matter of fact, a meditation class was an unknown thing. You were studying with a tradition, and then in that tradition, they taught you how to meditate. But there wasn't really any such thing as a meditation class that was just by itself, or you're just focusing on meditation. And being, I'm always been very interested in meditation, and I always felt that there were little nuances about meditation that were not really presented or talked about or taught in a meditation class, or even in the very formal teachings of meditation. And traditionally, even though there are all these traditions that are meditation focused, a lot of the experience just sort of left to your own devices to figure it out. There are these basic fundamental teachings that you're taught, but as far as the details of experience are concerned, you sort of have to figure it out yourself, or you have to establish a very close relationship with a teacher who will basically share their own personal experiences with you. And then you will discover that there are indeed some experiential texts that are not really made available to people from the very beginning. Those texts are usually people who, if you're really serious about this, somehow you discover those texts. But if you're not really serious about them, then you will not even know that these texts exist. But there are a lot of books out there about meditation. Since meditation is not really something that any culture, any tradition can claim, we are the one who invented this. They stole it from us, because it's just something that's natural to a mind, and you will have many different cultures, many different traditions, somehow in some way doing something that can be called a meditation tradition. So the Friday, so the meditation class that I started to be the main person leading it, I ended up being that. I was asked to do it one night, and then I ended up being stuck with it for like more than 10 years. Like, imagine your parent says, stay right here, I'll be right back. And then 20 years later, you're still waiting. Imagine the trauma. So the way I would begin, there are these very specific, what you might call very traditional ways of entering meditation within a specific. Each tradition may have its own sort of way of entering meditation, its own sort of what would you call that, formula of entering meditation, what you might call what they refer to as preliminaries. And so we try to do those preliminaries. And of course, since the meditation class was open to everyone, not just people who were studying a specific lineage, so I had to sort of find ways of presenting these preliminaries in a way that wasn't so, didn't seem to be so sectarian, but seems to have some sort of universality to them. And that's how you could say my sort of style of teaching or guiding meditation sort of evolved, and sort of having this universal approach, but at the same time sticking to my tradition. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna pretend that you are both beginners and also advanced. Okay. That's gonna be your trauma. So I'll say things that you already know, and I'll probably say some things that you have already experienced, and probably and present it in a way that seem to have refined it in some way or another. Okay. My reason for wanting to bring back meditation as we sit and we meditate. It's my personal belief that meditation can save humanity. Okay. And more people who are meditating, the better it will be for humanity. Okay. So I welcome all kinds of traditions that talk about meditation, but I do frown upon those so-called traditions or so-called new groups of people who are presenting meditation as though it is something other than what traditionally, universally, it is known to be. It is not. It is not just to make you feel good, but you can end up feeling good. Okay. Sometimes we can have very profound meditation sessions, but that could have been very painful. So just because it was painful doesn't mean that you were not having a good meditation session, so to speak. Okay. But every meditation session has a certain kind of joy accompanying it, but because there's a certain level of joy accompanying the meditation session doesn't mean that there are no difficulties, there's no pain whatsoever going on. You could be witnessing or re-experiencing a very traumatic a memory in a very vivid way that was very painful, but at the same time, because you're in the meditative state, you're able to observe it or re-experience it from a different perspective, a perspective of joy. Not joy in a sense of, look at that, that is a beautiful thing I'm looking at, but rather the space itself, of the cognitive space itself, is a joyful state. Okay. Sort of wanted to talk about the history of meditation sessions. So with this space at 3 Joules, and I ended up being the one doing the meditations and it used to be every Friday. And we moved to a new place, and it was right above a bar. Can you imagine a meditation center right above a bar, doing meditation classes on a Friday night? And I wonder if it was packed because people were thinking, well, there's a bar downstairs. After meditation, we just go to the bar. Maybe I should go back to the bar, and maybe they owe me some royalty, because maybe a lot of the clients they had on Friday nights where people were coming for the meditation classes. So after some time, a little bit before COVID, that sort of fizzled out. I stopped doing that at 3 Joules, and I started home, which is this, and that was way before COVID. Okay, I started doing home, but it was more, the request for that was for people who wanted to understand certain topics in a deeper way, but not in a scholastic way, but in a practical way. So that's what home became. Okay. All right. So how did the Friday night sessions go? There would be no announcement like we do for now. You just show up on a Friday. Maybe I'll be there. Maybe I'm not. No, the old-fashioned way of teaching. Let them sweat a little bit. So I would just show up, and then I would have intuition. Okay, well, I'll talk about this, and we meditate on this thing. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to do today. So that's why there was no announcement as to what the topic would be. And the topic is more like meditation itself. And I'm making an appeal to everyone here, to please, if you're not meditating regularly, to please meditate regularly. And I believe it is, and I sincerely believe that it is absolutely an absolute necessity for the survival of humanity. I think we are entering an age that is very scary. I think it's scary, where humans themselves have the capacity to destroy themselves. Usually we had the capacity to destroy our neighbor, but now we have the capacity to destroy everyone, not just the neighbor, the country who happens to be your neighbor next door. Okay, now we have that capacity. And it's not something that you need to acquire a lot of power to be able to do. It's just like it's available to anyone who's diligent enough to get there. But that's not the only sort of vision that I see where meditation is needed. There's also, and I think this is not going to be a choice in terms of, is humanity going to go there or not? I think definitely humanity is going to go in that direction because of technology. I think eventually, because of the overload of data that we have to process, we're going to need a better tool to be able to process data. Not just having a computer that you can go to help you process the data, but something internal to help you process the data. And I think eventually Elon Musk dream of implanting some sort of thing in your brain to help you process things, process data is going to come true eventually. And we will enter an age of, did you ever see, I don't know, what was that? It was a TV series called something about cyborgs fighting with humans. And the cyborg seems to be more civilized than the humans. What's it called? Battlestar Galactica. I don't know if you've ever seen it. There are two of them. There's a real one, and there's the one that came way later. The one I'm talking about, the one that came way later. That one, I think, not that I'm saying that that's the future of humanity, but I think eventually we will say, oh, I don't want this face, and then you get a cyborg face, and however you can get it, whether it's some sort of genetic mutation or whatever, but we're going to be able to enhance our capacities, the strength of our body, the capacity of our mind to manipulate and understand data. But I think that will have its downside. It will, of course, it have its good side. I think it will have a downside that we will become dependent on something outside of ourselves. And we could actually achieve these things with meditation, I believe. We can enhance ourselves physically through meditation. I mean, look at all those exceptional examples of human beings who are doing exceptionally fantastic things with their bodies. That's because of this a degree of focus that they have, not because of some enhancement they have by depending on something outside of them, but completely depending on their own resources within themselves. They're able to do incredible things, incredible art, incredible act of athleticism, incredible things with their minds. I'm not talking about psychic abilities. I'm talking about, processing data and things like that. Okay, psychic abilities will come later. All right, imagine a society where you have three groups of people: the meditators, who are doing incredible things, equal to or even better than those who have become cyborgs because they could afford it, and those who cannot, those who are either too lazy to meditate or don't have the resources to become cyborgs. So they're like three kinds of social class in some future. Okay, not immediately, not necessarily in your lifetime, but in our lifetime, it will begin the process. And for the generation who's going to be the ones who are going to focus a lot on meditation, they need us to begin the process. Okay, we need to meditate, attain beautiful results, and then pass those results on to the next generation so that they can continue and perfect it. Okay, all right. Since this is supposed to be more meditating than talking, so now it's time to begin that. I guess I should have been crying, begging you, please meditate. Humanity needs you. Okay. So imagine, instead of laughing about that, I was crying and pleading. Okay. There are two things you bring to a meditation. Actually, three things, but mainly two things that you yourself bring. The third one is provided for you. The two things that you bring are your body and your mind. And if you wish to have further subdivisions of who you are, what constitutes you, you can just think of them as being part of the body, part of the mind. Okay? You bring those two things. So those two things are participating in the meditation. And it's not something that you're supposed to force the body to do. It's not something you're supposed to force the mind to do, but rather invite them to get into. When you have that attitude of inviting, then you will be able to have a deeper experience of meditation rather than trying to force the body, trying to force the mind. And there's some corner in the body, there's some corner in the mind trying to escape. Okay, then the meditation session itself is not, will not be as deep as it could be. So very, very, very important. Two things that are very important for meditation. Because I'm going to treat you as if you're beginners, okay? So like, and I'll repeat this that my teacher, Chongra Rato Rinpoche, repeated a few times when he was teaching the same topic years later. He would say, you should consider the topic like your lover. You don't say, oh, this is the third time I'm seeing you. I'm tired of you already. Okay. But rather the 5th time, the 10th time, the 1000th time you see them, you can't wait to see them again. Okay. So consider these things just like that. Okay. The very first thing is motivation. Each time you sit, you must have a clear motivation that you are going to meditate and why you're going to meditate. Let that be clear to you. Okay. Sometimes people get stuck with just this because they have, oh, I could have this motivation. Oh, that one sounds good. Let me have that one instead. No, but that one sounds good. So you sort of get stuck in trying to decide which one. So when you're in that state, just choose one. Doesn't really matter. Okay, just choose one. Don't think that one is better than the other. Just choose one. So in fact, I'm going to give you one to make it easy for everyone. We are going to have what I've been working on lately, an inner conference. Imagine all the different parts of you. The part of you that was a baby, the part of you that was yesterday, the part of you that is mostly angry, the part of you that's mostly shy, the part of you that's, all the different parts of you. The part of you that when you were 5 years old, when you were in elementary school, the parts of you that was in a specific time, the parts of you that sort of summarize a specific era, okay? Think of all those parts of you are having a conference with each other, okay? So that's what we are going to do. So hold that thought in mind. So you allow this intention, this motivation to be communicated to all the parts of you, the physical parts, the subjective parts, the energetic parts, the emotional parts, the cognitive, all the parts of you. Let that intention be communicated and feel that intention being received by all the different parts. Be aware of the parts that are palpable, that is, that are immediately present, the physical part, the energetic part, and so forth. Be aware of how the body is already responding to this intention to meditate, to have this conference. That it is being, how is it responding to this invitation? And be aware that there is a natural intelligence within the body itself that already knows what meditation is, and allow it to guide you. That is, when you feel the need to make adjustments, consider that it's that intelligence communicating to you. Or you want to meditate, all right, have your legs like this, make sure your feet are like this. So you're feeling the sort of impulses or thoughts coming up concerning the body posture. So consider that to be, that's the intelligence. You've made contact with that intelligence and it's responding. It's accepted invitation and it's communicating with you. Have your legs in such a way that they feel comfortable, they feel stable. Stay connected. And as you connect with the legs in this way, Be aware of the arising of the signs that you're beginning to enter meditation. There are universal signs and there are signs that are unique for you. The universal signs are a sense of calming. Be aware of a sense of calming arising in the legs, a sense of pleasantness arising in the legs, a distinct knowing these are legs, a sense of this knowledge is happening now, a nowness to it, and a sense of your attention being directed, collecting itself in the direction that you're directing your attention. So these are some of the universal signs. Be aware of them. And as you are aware of any of them, in whatever measure, rejoice. That invites more and more of you to enter the meditation state, into the meditation journey. So in the same way, after you've communicated and you made whatever adjustments you needed to make with your legs, now go to the torso, the front and the back. Let that intelligence continue to guide you. You need to have a sense of attentiveness in the body. So let the intelligence guide you how to arrange your torso so your body can give you a sense of attentiveness. And be aware of the calming and whatever measures are arising in the torso. The pleasantness, the distinctiveness, this is torso. The sense of I'm aware of torso nowness. Now bring attention to your arms. What I would like to say about the arm is arrange the arms in such a way that when your attention would sort of on its way to being distracted, it sort of hits your hands, your awareness of your hands. Let the posture of the hand be an immediate reminder, hey, you're meditating. Okay, so whatever helps you to do that, okay, that's what you take. You can do these mudras, sort of, as they say, or just arrange them in whatever feels comfortable for you. And that reminds you that you're meditating. And then also be aware of the signs. And also try to be aware of your own unique sign that you're meditating. Now go to the head and neck. Notice that the area of our attention is shrinking. The legs were long, the torso was a bit longer, shorter, the arms is smaller area. Now the head and neck are still smaller area. So we are, just by doing this, we are training our minds to naturally focus. We want the head and neck to be in such a posture that there is no conscious effort in keeping the head and neck in place. So find for yourself what it would be the center for your head and neck. And allow that intelligence to guide you, whether you need to move this way, move that way, until you feel that it is centered. I can just leave my head and neck here, and it will remain here by itself. And we're going to narrow the area of our attention even further. Now the face only. Be aware of the signs in the face, the calm, the pleasantness, this is face. I'm aware of it nowness. The mouth, teeth, tongue, resting in their natural places. And lastly, your eyes. And this is where you're going to encounter so many different traditions giving so many different advice as to how you should have your eyes. And the very fact there are different traditions that are legitimate, and they each have different ways of how you should have your eyes, that tells you it doesn't really matter. Whatever works for you, that's the one that's for you. Have them closed, have them slightly open where you're not really seeing things, but sort of like a blur colors and shapes. Have them half open where you're staring at the space in front of you. Cast downwards, or you can have your eyes open wide and just staring blankly into space, but not looking at any specific object. And there are some even meditation postures for the eyes where you're looking up as if you raise your eyeballs up, looking up. So whatever works for you, whatever enhances the signs, the calm, the pleasantness, and so forth. So by the time you reach your eyes, you've made all the necessary adjustments, you listen to that intelligence, and the posture is now in how you want the mind to be, stable. And the bridge between the outer and the inner, the subtle, the gross and the subtle, is the breath. So gently bring your attention to the breath. And for now, this is not some sort of breathing exercise where we artificially breathe, but rather just follow the breath in its natural rhythm. As you breathe in, you simply know you are breathing in. As you breathe out, you simply know you are breathing out. And that's it. And as you're doing that, you're still open. You're still open to taking suggestions from your body's intelligence, from your mind, if you need to make any adjustments. But right now, you're at a point where if you need to make adjustment, don't do it impulsively. Do it mindfully. Like you need to adjust your legs mindfully, staying in this whatever level you've reached right now, while staying there, make the adjustment. Don't leave it, make just adjustment and try to come back, but rather stay in it and make the adjustment. And the imagery that I use for the breath at this level is like you're walking on a bridge, you're living the everyday conscious world, and you're crossing the bridge, going into deep meditation world. As you get closer and closer to meditation world or meditation absorption, the signs begin to enhance. So the palpable signs that are present in the body are enhancing. The calm is enhancing, affecting the pleasantness, affecting the sense of distinctive knowing, affecting the sense of nowness, affecting the sense of the mind being collected. In the same way that the calm is vivid, that the body is vivid, that these feel like actual palpable experiences, everything will have that sense of palpability, even though right now they seem to be abstract. You slightly touching them, they're slightly ephemeral, like the sense of nowness that I'm talking about, the sense of distinctiveness. They may have a sense of ephemeral to them. They're a bit abstract, slightly touching them, but not quite grasping them. Don't worry, they will be as palpable as the physical body feels palpable. Okay, so don't worry about that. So continue just being aware of the breath. And as you are aware of the breath, be aware of the signs enhancing in the body. And notice the signs are present also in the breath. Notice the measure of calm that's in the breath. As you notice it, rejoice. Notice the measure of pleasantness, that there is a sort of a pleasantness in the very act of breathing. As you notice that measure, rejoice, welcome it. And you will also notice that there is a sense of clear knowing this is breathing. Be aware of that. Welcome it. This is what I refer to as clarity. And the nounness of breathing, that you will notice it, that when you bring awareness to something, it seems like you're aware of the memory of it. And there seems to be a gap that is shortening as when are you aware of the memory, or are you aware of it now, or 10 seconds ago, or 5 seconds ago, or 2 moments ago? So the sense of nowness is getting closer and closer and closer to pure now. This is referred to as luminosity, vividness. So notice that in relation to the breath, how vivid the breath is appearing to you, how now the breath is appearing to you, that you really are with the very moment of the in-breath, every moment of it, every moment of the out-breath. And now you reach a point where you're beginning to be aware of these same signs appearing in their own way now in the mind. There's a subjective part, there's a subjective manifestation or subjective experience of pleasantness, a subjective experience that can be called calm. There's a subjective experience that can be called clarity and radiance. As far as the mind is concerned, the way clarity will present itself, it will be through inner sensations. By sensations, I mean things that would have been brought to you, to your mind, to your awareness through any of your senses. Inner sounds, inner visions, inner tactile sensations that you were not aware of before until now. So that means the mind has achieved a certain degree of clarity that makes it for these things for you to be aware of them. And there's a certain degree of sharpness to them. That's the mind's luminosity. And the sense of attentiveness is collecting itself even more, even more, even more. I use the word attentive, collective attentiveness, which is the definition of one of the definition of samadhi, rather than the word focus, because the word focus can be traumatic for some people, because it gives anxiety and stress when you hear the word focus. So forget it. So attention is collecting itself. You begin to feel it. It might be ephemeral right now, but eventually it will become just as palpable as anything that is palpable for you right now. And when you notice any measure of things, remember to rejoice. The signs are present in the physical body, rejoice. There's one, there's two, there's a second. The signs are present in the breath, rejoice. The signs are present in the mind, rejoice. So this was a very long introduction also to something that usually takes a few seconds to do. Okay. Now we're going to use the breath again, this time as a jumping point to fully commit ourselves to the meditative journey. Yeah. So become aware of the breath again in a very palpable way. Sort of have a last communication with the body, saying, "Are you okay? Do I need to get to anything? Because I'm going to go deep into mine now. And listen to that intelligence if it asks you to make a little adjustment here and there. And as you make the adjustment, notice that the adjustment actually enhances one of the signs or a few of the signs. Okay. And just like an athlete, a runner at the very start of a competition or exhibition, that they are psyching themselves up to fully engage. So this is where you are right now. You're psyching yourself up to fully enter meditation. And you remember what you're doing, why you're doing it. And when you're ready, you take a nice deep breath, hold it for a second or two, and then you release. And as you release, let go in the body, let go in the mind, let go in the breath, let go. And as you let go, notice the signs enhancing, rejoice, let go, notice the signs enhancing, let go. And you reach a certain depth at the end of that breath. So let the breath come back naturally by itself, but stay where the breath took you. Stay where the out breath took you. Stay there while you breathe in naturally. Stay where it took you. Stay where it took you. Notice the depth of the tranquility, the depth of the calm, in the body, in the breath, in the mind. Rejoice. Stay there. And from this moment on, be totally aware that you are in meditation. You are in some level of meditation. Even if you have experiences that are completely equal to experiences when you're not in meditation, consider that these are the meditative equivalent of these experiences. Okay? Even if you're hearing, if you're aware of the things around you, you're aware of them in meditation. Never let go of that conviction that you're in meditation. That itself, that conviction, enhances meditation. Yeah. And I have, just because I come from a tradition, I have, you could say, summarized what they refer to as the preliminaries into these three attitudes. And it also helps with collecting attention. Attention is going to continue to collect itself until it becomes palpably single pointed. But you don't have to force it. It will happen naturally. When you feel your mind attention being stolen by something outside of the meditation, like something is taking your mind outside of meditative state, or taking your mind attention away from where you're directing your attention, immediately bring your attention to the signs to help you get back, whether it's the signs in the body, the signs in the breath, or the signs in the mind. Okay. So the three, so bring your attention to the space in front of you at the level of your eyebrows. That is a universal technology, you could say, a technique of meditation that is found in almost every meditation tradition, bringing attention to the space in front of you at the level of your eyebrows. And different traditions have different means of bringing that attention. They ask you to visualize something, they ask you to feel something, But you don't have to imagine a sensation. By simply bringing your attention there, you will be aware of a sensation there. So what is your sensation? Be aware of it. Is it connected to temperature? Is it connected to magnetism? Is it connected to energy? Whatever it is. So be aware of that sensation that is there for you. One way to help collect attention in that space is to bring to mind something that is of high value for you, the highest value that you can think of. For those who are in the spiritual path, it will be their spiritual guide. Or you can consider to be the you that is calling you, the you feel is calling you, the you that you feel you have the potential to become. That's what's in that presence, that's what's there, and that's what's causing that sensation, that heat, that light, that wave, whatever it is that you're feeling, that pulse. So just for this session, we will consider that presence to be the embodiment of what all the parts of you are trying to become, to embody. Like all the different parts of you, when you were a baby up to yesterday, all the different parts of you, the angry parts of you, the loving parts of you, all those parts of you that have expressed themselves in some way, responded to reality in some way. They're all these are responses or actions trying to achieve that particular state, that particular way of being, that authentic way of being, you can call that. Imagine, sense that's what's causing that sensation. It's the presence of that's causing that sensation in the forehead. And towards that presence, allow a natural sense of respect to come forth into your mind. Allow that a natural sense of gratitude to come. And of course, feel the trust that all the parts of you have towards that idea, towards that presence, and allow it to come to the surface of your awareness and let it be expressed in some inner way, in some way. The deep respect, the trust, the gratitude. So keep that presence there, and you've expressed strong emotions towards it, that these emotions strengthen the signs of the meditation. The calm is calmer because of the strength of that emotion, and as well as the rest. And also perhaps the signs pointing to clarity and radiance are even stronger. Sometimes these very signs unfortunately, for a lot of beginners, we take them, they become distractions. But rather than allowing them to develop into being distractions, consider that they are actual signs of progress. We don't need to go to them. We don't need to push them away. We don't need to grab them, but rather acknowledge that, because my mind is becoming clearer, that's why that vivid memory showed up. Because my mind is so bright, that's why it looks as if it was happening now. So consider them as signs that you're even deeper in the meditation. That's why they're there. So no need to go to them, no need to do anything about them. They're simply signs of your progress. So that will continue as you continue your meditation journey. Sometimes they may even become so sharp, it's as if they're in the room with you, as if you're actually looking at that vision, as if the whatever is making that inner sound is actually next to your ears, making that sound, as if there is an actual a hand touching you or something. Right? Now remember, there's this. This is a conference. Consider all the different parts of you. The parts of you that are outspoken, the parts of you that probably hasn't said anything yet, but has things to say. The parts of you that's afraid. The different parts that are angry, the different parts that are jealous, the different parts that are holding on to different emotions as if they are those emotions themselves. The parts of you that are inspirational. Just have a sense that you're in the center of all your, what you might call yourselves. And who are you now looking at all yourselves? That sense of you that is looking at all yourselves, that is sort of like the center. It's not like that's the you looking at others that are you, but rather that sense of you that is the center is all those different parts collectively looking at themselves. All the different parts of you collectively looking at all at each other gives that sense of that center, that central you. And from that central you, which is your collective selves, radiate a sense of impartial love and compassion toward all the different parts. There are some parts that collectively would make you angry. So all the parts. Just have that radiate impartially from that center. And there are parts of you that definitely, perhaps, is convinced for whatever reason that they're undeserving of love. Have a sense of every part of you is receiving this impartial love and compassion radiating from the center. And since identity is so fluid, you can sort of put on the identity of any part and then feel that part receiving that love from all the other parts. the 8-year-old you who feels that the 14-year-old hates him or hates her. Let that go into that 8-year-old and let that 8-year-old feel impartial love coming from that 14-year-old you. Or perhaps the older you feels that the younger you hates the older you, some part of the younger you. Maybe if you feel that, oh, they're ashamed of me now because I didn't achieve what I was supposed to achieve for them. So feel love just radiating impartially to every part and feel every part receiving that love, receiving that compassion, receiving understanding. And relax, relax. And as you're relaxing, the signs are enhancing, the sense of awareness is sharpening. And perhaps there's one particular part of you that is very shy, you could say. Even though love and compassion is impartially radiating, it sort of, it feels like perhaps, oh, this is definitely not for me. And it's trying to stay away from the rays of love and compassion that's radiating. Let all the other parts acknowledge that. And let all of them turn their attention to her. Who believes that perhaps not being seen is her nature. And let all the different parts see her, see him, and be in her and feel her receiving, being seen by all the different parts. And perhaps, since this is a conference, there's a part of you perhaps who feels the need to communicate something. So the collective center, you're just going to create space, create an openness. Whoever wants to speak, you're open to hear whoever wants to speak, whichever part of you wants to speak. However, that part wishes to communicate. You're completely open to whatever form of communication. And it is not a command, better communicate to me, but rather an opening, an invitation. And it's not just, this is your last chance kind of thing, but an openness that will extend in perpetuity. And the communication may not necessarily come in language of words. It could come in a different language. Your body could say something to you where a part of your body feels a certain way. So just acknowledge it. That part of the body feels like this without judging, without forcing an explanation, but just being aware of it and allowing that part to know that whatever it was communicating, it is heard. And I'm going to step out and leave you alone with your conference for a few minutes. Okay. Every meditation session has 3 phases to it, you can say: entering it, abiding in it, and then arising out of it. We are now in the abiding phase. That's where a lot of the work is done. Now prepare yourself for the third phase, the arising phase. First, whatever you are doing, let it go and just be aware of just the space of the meditation itself. And you can do that by bringing attention to the signs wherever they are present. Noticing the signs are present, acknowledge that you are in meditation, rejoice. And you're going to look for a certain signature, a certain feeling in your meditation. It becomes more and more apparent the more you meditate. And depending on the kind of meditation you are doing, it will give this feeling a different kind of a flavor. But there will always be this kind of a feeling that sort of summarizes the meditation experience. So look for it. And as you are aware of it, now you dedicate the meditation. Think of something that sincerely concerns you, and you dedicate the meditation to address that concern. And now you're ready to completely come out of the meditation. Rejoice that you were that you're meditating, and to reconnect to the non-meditative state, you can use the breath again as the bridge. Take a nice deep breath. And as you breathe out this time, reconnect with your immediate surroundings, deliberately become aware of your surroundings, be aware of the sounds, be aware of the different tactile sensations connecting to your environment, your clothing, be aware of the lights, the colors, different shapes. Okay. All right. So that was a long meditation. I hope you were sitting in a very comfortable posture. Otherwise, it would have been probably quite uncomfortable for you. Okay, so this meditation that we did is a meditation that I've been doing myself for quite some time now. It's a way of integrating all the different parts of me, because I think life in general scatters us into different parts, where the different parts are at odds with each other. Sometimes it seems like we have different aims, different goals, different aspirations. But if we consider that there's not one part, and this can be verified. I don't know if it can be verified by scripture, but do you need scripture to validate it? No, the thing is, doesn't make sense to you. That's the real validation. Okay. All the different parts, even though they may engage in activities that results as harm to the whole or to parts of the whole, it is never the intention of any part to really bring harm to the self. And taking that perspective, that will allow you to love yourself and have compassion for yourself more effectively. Okay, so even if you witness yourself doing something that harms yourself, it's not the action necessarily that you should focus on, but understand that the intention was something completely different, was to bring benefit to yourself. But it was because of misinformation, it ended up doing something unskillful. That is, even though it intended to bring you benefit, because of misinformation, because of delusion, it unskillfully did something that unfortunately brought you something else. It brought you pain, it brought you suffering instead. Okay, so in that way, take that approach to all the parts of you, especially if you find that there are parts of you that you don't like. Okay, it was never the intention of any of those parts to, oh, let me get you, let me make you suffer. It was indeed the complete opposite. So taking that perspective, know that the meditation is going to, the effect of the meditation we just did is going to continue. That openness to hear different parts of you communicate, it's going to be there. And while you engage in something completely not related to anything that you could call, say, even close to meditation, you may receive a communication. That part of you may say something because you're open. So you have to keep the attitude that the openness is not a command for any part to communicate, but it's rather it's an invitation. It's an open invitation. Okay. And even the lack of receiving what you might call direct communication, that itself is a communication. Communication is already taking place. Like if you tell someone, I want to know what you really think, what you really feel, and that person remains silent, that silence is telling you something. So the parts of you that you were expecting communication from and they're silent, that silence is a communication to you. Accept it as communication. Don't say that's not what I want. Okay. Be open to that silence as communication. And perhaps if it's shy, if it's afraid of the other parts of being criticized by the other parts, then it will slowly lose that fear, and then say, okay, I guess I can say this, I can say that. I will not be criticized, I will not be judged, I will not be chastised. Okay. All right. So we've come to the end. In a sense, sort of covered in a very basic way what we do in meditation, what I consider to be meditation, and what I consider to be, if you look at meditation traditions, this is one of the things, this is what they universally share. Okay. So do you have any questions or comments or whatever's?
I'll just say thank you. I like that. It was a nice, a good experience.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. I guess it's definitely late. You thought that, oh, it's just going to meditate today, so it's not going to take that long. Sorry. No, habits are not easy to get rid of. All right, so I'll say thank you, and I'll say good night.
Thank
and
you.
wish you great communication and great integration.
Thank you, Phuntsok.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so there's no opening meditation or closing meditation. The whole thing was meditation. Gewadi Kyo Kun Sonam Yeshe Tsogzok Shing Sonam Yeshe Lechung We Hamba Kunyi Topara Sho. All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Phuntsok, thank you.
Good night. Have a good one.